Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's your girl Gift and See, and you're welcome to Gift and See Culture. So in today's tutorial, I want to show you how to cut this milkmaid crop top. Okay, actually added a little flare to my own because I know that if I should leave it like that, I won't feel comfortable wearing it, and I added what's it called, underbust wire to it to make it firm. Okay, so let's get started if it's something you want to learn. So the first thing i I did was to um measure my 1 inch. Okay, and from there I may actually went ahead. Please, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, kindly do so after watching the video, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up. All right, so from that top line I went ahead to measure my full front length, which is also known as half length. Okay, so my half length is actually 17, and the half length is for the front, and there's what we call nap to waist. Nap to waist is actually for the back. Okay, now I went ahead to do the same thing on the paper. Okay, just like you see it. So the paper right now is divided into two, both front and the back. Okay, so now the first measurement I did was for the front. Now I'm ruling for the back. Okay, so from there I went ahead to measure 1.5. The 1.5 is what you are going to use for your shoulder. It's actually for your shoulder length, to get your shoulder slope. Okay, so from there I went ahead to measure 2 point, divide my shoulder into two. My shoulder is actually um 12.5, which is divided by 2, and if I divide it by 2, it's going to give me 6.2. So from there I went ahead to measure 2.5. How I got the 2.5 is from my bust measurement. I didn't just assume. This is what I did. I divided my bust by 8. Whatever I have, I added 1 and I divided it by 2 into 2. All right, so from that I went ahead to add half inch. I know we don't really need, but for the sake of those who are yet to understand how to draft the basic bodies, this is for you. This is basically how to draft, the best way to draft your bodies and get it accurate. Okay, so I went ahead to measure my bust points. From there I went ahead to indicate my under bust and then roll the lines. Hope you are getting it. So after doing that, I went ahead to indicate it, like label it, my bust point, my under bust, my waistline, and my shoulder length. Okay, so from there, I went ahead to divide my bust span into two. Okay, and then connected the lines. Please, if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, kindly do so. Okay, and from that bust point I went ahead by 2 inches to measure my across chest. Note, we have across chest and we have across back. I always emphasize this on my videos. Okay, so now I went ahead to label it just like you see it do. So from there I extended my bust band to meet my across chest for a reason. Okay, and then for the upper part, like from the shoulder to the across chest measurement, we don't really need it, but for this tutorial we have to do it. And if it's your first time of coming across my videos, this is how I draft my basic bodies. Okay, now I went ahead to indicate my bust measurement on the across chest. So now the distance from that bust measurement to where my across chest measurement is actually where I used to contour. So I placed my tape roll and divide it into two. So this is basically what I did to contour my armhole. Okay, so from there I went ahead to indicate my bust measurement, my under bust, and my waist measurement. Note what I did, actually brought, after I finished adding my waist measurement, actually brought down my bust measurement down to my waist, to my waist rather, because that's what I'm going to use to indicate the dart. Now the distance from that point to my waistline is what I'm going to use as my dart. It's actually 1.5. Sorry, it was not really bold for you to see, but yours might not be 1.5. All right, so now whatever you have, you divide it by 3 and share it on the side. Look at it, one, I put half there and I put half there, and that's what you have. So from there, I went ahead to put my 2 inches. Do you know where I got the 2 inches? Now, you remember I said there's we have nap to waist and we have full front length. Now my nap to waist is 15, while my full front length, which is also called the arm length, is 17. So now the difference between that nap to waist and my full front length is what you are going to use as your side bust dart, and that's basically what I did. Now actually, remember, I measured both the front and the back full front length. Okay, so now the thing is, when I get to that, you know what, okay, I went ahead to indicate my across back measurement, my bust point, and then my napped waist. Okay, this is what it's happening here. So now I've rolled the ruler. Now I'm going to erase that 2 inches note. We are getting rid of that 2 inches, okay, because that's what we are going to use for the side bust. Okay, I hope you are getting it. And on the shoulder line, I went ahead to divide to measure the 2.5, just like I said, and I brought it down by half inch. I take it up by 0.6 and connect the line, the neck rather. So from there, I went ahead to measure my shoulder length, my shoulder back length. Note, the shoulder back is totally different from the shoulder front. Okay, from there, I went ahead to roll the line and added half inch, which is going to serve as my sewing allowance, assuming we are using the um yoke. Okay, so now I went ahead to measure my across back. Note, there's difference between across back and across chest. So now I went ahead to divide my bust, which is 8.5. My bust is actually 34, and I know the distance between that across back and the bust, that's what you are going to use to contour your back armhole. And the measurement is always divided into two, while for the front is divided into four. Okay, now I went ahead to place my ruler, my measurement on the waist, just like what I did. So the difference between whatever I have, like the difference between my waist to that point, is what you are going to divide by 3. Okay, so now I'll go ahead use my bust span. You can use your bust, your across back measurement, or your bust span, okay, on it, and then roll the line. After I finish doing that, note, I wanted mine to give me the back. You know, the back is not straight, so I wanted it to, the hollow part of that back, actually use 1 inch. Note, I don't really like using sewing darts on my dresses. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the darts now. Look at it. So from there, we are almost done for the back. Okay, note, I'm getting rid of that 2 inches. So now I'm going to go ahead and contour my armhole. Okay, my back armhole, and then add my seam allowance for the back. Okay, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, please, if you like this video, and don't forget to share so that it can get to more people. Okay, now for the back, I'm going to divide the distance from my cross back to my bust is actually what I'm going to divide into two, and then I went ahead to put my seam allowance, like the sewing allowance. Now I want to get rid of the side dart as well. So look here, we see how I put my tape roll. I'm getting rid of it. Note, I actually place my tape roll there to add my seam allowance, which is 1 inch. So with what I just did, there is no need to sew that. There is no that anyway. I've gotten rid of the that. And for the back, I actually use 1. Okay, so for the side, I use half. The same thing, I went ahead to go to the front. Now we want to focus on the front now. From my cross chest, I measured half inch onto my underbust, and then if you notice, I actually use my underbust wire. Okay, you can either use your underbust wire to get the curve, or you from the under bust point, you can take it by 1.2 and then contour it just like you see it on the screen. Okay, this is basically how to draft your corset, because this is actually a corset pattern we are using. But the difference between this is between the normal corset is the upper bust tightening. We are not going to use upper bust tightening on this. Now go to the front, from whatever you have, which is your 3.5, like your bust band, take it up, bring it to the side and measure, and then contour your um cup. You can see the way I'm doing it now. Then use your French curve, okay? Place it very well and contour it appropriately. Okay, so this is basically how we are going to do it. So now from your across chest to your, the measurement from your across chest to your under bust, whatever you have, that's what we are going to use for the cup. Okay, now I've gone ahead to add half inch. Okay, I'm gonna ahead to have add half inch, which is going to serve as my seam allowance. And then it's time to contour the armhole, not the armhole, the neck, the front neck rather, since it's going to have what's it called, a little plate in front, kind of ruffles in front. So just like I went ahead, just like you see me, I brought it down by if you notice, if you actually saw the back of my own, it's really down, like it's low. Okay, so if you want your own not to be low, you want your own to be lower than mine, you can take it down. Okay, so I'm gonna ahead to cut it. I didn't just want to cut it without you guys seeing it, so this is basically what I did. I cut it off. Now we are not making use of the upper bodies. I'm gonna ahead to sew this, cut this one out as well. I do you know that I almost forgot that I'm supposed to close my dart. So this is me closing the dart after I've already cut a little bit of it. And then this is what I did, and cut off the cup, since we are not using the cup size. Okay, just like we are not making use of it, because we are actually going to cut another paper for it. So now, I'm going to go ahead and cut a full flare, fold my paper into four and cut a full flare for it. Okay, just the way I'm folding is as if I want to cut a normal 360 flare. Okay, you actually cut your paper into four and then measure from the length of your paper, like from my across chest measurement to where my under bust is, just like the way the cup is, and cut it out. So after I finish cutting it, I'm going to open it and indicate the line, just like you can see. Now go ahead, open it and add like 2 or 1.5 inches to it. Okay, now that's if we are to use it without the ruffle in front or the gathers in front, that measurement is okay. Now since we are going to add the gathers, okay, we are going to use rope in front, extending it by 1.5, so that this will be the effect of the gathers. Okay, so go ahead and cut it out, because this is what you are going to use. Now the thing is, I've discovered something else. If you want it to be more fuller than this, okay, you can go ahead and slash the paper. Okay, slash the paper. I don't know if you, for those of us that know how to do cut and slash, the paper and it will give you this. So you remember, I'm supposed to close the dart, so I'm just closing the dart now, the center dart. Now please don't get confused. Please, if you don't understand it, you can go ahead and watch my body's measurement on how to close the dart, how to get rid of the dart. So this is when I've finished cutting. Note I added half inch all the way to the measurement, and I've gone ahead to sew where I wanted to stop. You can see now I've gone ahead to sew it, and I left like half inch that I had it, because that's where I'm going to sew. That's where I'm going to sew. That's where it's going to sew round the cup. Okay, so I've gone ahead to do the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I've given it a press. I've press it with iron. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and draw gathers. So after drawing the gathers, this is what I got. Okay, note I'm here to cut the rope for the front. So this is what you have, you can see. So after doing that, I went ahead not actually cut two of this fabric. All right, you can use lining, but actually cut two because I know that I'm not using it anyways. I don't want to use the remaining one, and since it's my fabric, I had to cut it double. You can use lining if you are using Ankara or you are using all these floral fabrics. Okay, now I'm gonna ahead to turn it in. Okay, turn it and brace it down just like you see it on the screen. So I'm gonna ahead to cut my rope. Okay, the fabric that I'm going to use as the rope, and I'm going to sew it and turn it. So after that, I'm going to go ahead just like this. That's the rope there. So go ahead and fold one of it. I actually use 30 inches for the rope. Okay, but at the end of it, I felt like it's too long, so I had to reduce it. So if you want it to be longer than 30, if you want it to be longer than mine, you can go ahead and sew it like that. Now I've gone ahead to place it and sew it, and this is the outcome. Okay, I hope you understand. So now you can see we are going to go ahead. I went ahead to sew it. Okay, the half inch that I opened, that's what I did. I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is the outcome. So the next thing I'm going to do is for me to use bias to turn it. Okay, I'm going to use bias because we are going definitely going to make use of our um underburst wire. Okay, if you don't want to use underburst wire, I don't know, but I prefer this because after I finished doing it, I really loved it. Okay, now I'm gonna ahead to use bias to sew it, and I realized that it was too long, so I'm going to cut it off. Okay, I went ahead to cut it off so that it should be able to close properly without the excess fabric showing. So I'm going to go ahead to stitch it now. After I finish this stitching it, rather, it's time for us to put fixing our underbust wire. Note, if you are going to use the underbust wire, note one side is longer and one side is shorter. Now the longer side is where you are going to use to the side, and the shorter side is where you are going to use for the center front. Note, your home might not necessarily go round just like what I did. I actually bought size 34 for my own. It comes in different sizes, just like breast cup. Okay, note the smallest length. Okay, the shorter length is where we'll go to the front, and the other side to the longest side to the side. Okay, so now after I finished doing it, it didn't get go round, so I had to stitch where it stopped so that it won't come out. I went ahead to join the side, and it was time for me to cut the sleeves. I actually did something after I've cutting the sleeve. So on the length, I measured 5 inch. Okay, I actually used 28 rather. So from my sleeve length, I measured 5, and the other one I measured 8 inches and fixing my elastic. After I finished doing that, I went ahead to weave it, and that's how we got the style. So after I finished doing that, I noticed that it was kind of short. I had to cut a little flare to it and had to it and weaved everything. So that's basically what we have, and this is me. This is how I got mine. So if you love this tutorial, kindly give me a thumbs up. Okay, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you, and God bless you. Don't forget to share. Thank you.